For those who just know my name know that I'm obsessed with animals. And over the years, I have been on the receiving end of many much appreciated, countless animal photos, animal-related articles, and best of all, animal-related videos. And one video that I got about 5 years ago struck a chord with me, and I'm going to show you a clip.
And I would always try to open it from the stem, like dig my finger in, maybe bite it, get that nice taste of banana in your mouth. A friend of mine showed me how monkeys open a banana. Kind of pinch the tip, it'll split, and you peel it out like that.
Okay, so here we understand that the most common way of doing things isn't always the best practice. So this was the moment that it really all came together for me, and it sparked this thought of what else can the natural world do better? What else can the natural world do smarter and more efficient? So then I started to research. I found that the bird plants hook-like needles inspired Velcro, and that humpback whale fins revolutionized the turbine industry. And just by emulating the grooves on whale fins, turbines now cut through air 20% more efficiently. And just by mimicking the way light reflects on butterfly wings, mirror displays were created, which is a major battery saver. And lastly, how falcon beaks are naturally designed changed the game when it came to designing jet engines. So I quickly realized that I wasn't alone in my curiosity, and that scientists and researchers have been looking to the natural world more and more, and they gave this study a name. And that name is biomimetics. So that word is a little intense, so let's break it down. So we have bio, meaning life, mimetic, meaning to mimic, to imitate, is a discipline that seeks sustainable design solutions by emulating nature's natural design models. So let's take a step back and look at today's common approach to getting and making stuff. So how we get stuff. We extract them, we turn them into short-life products, and then we dispose of them. It's this process that material scientists call heat, beat, and treat, where we heat it up, we beat it with pressure, and then we treat it with chemicals, where the outcome is a 4% product and a 96% waste. So slowly but surely, we're realizing that we don't live in a world with endless resources, and we, like the natural world, need to learn to become better and smarter and more efficient. So if we use the concept of biomimetics to make things, we'll have minimal energy usage, no waste, and no hazardous byproduct. So let's take a look at some examples of biomimetics in action. So what is a way nature fights off bacteria? With shark skin. So unlike other large marine creatures, sharks don't collect algae, slime, or barnacles on their body no matter what speed they travel in. And this works because their bodies are covered in these miniature bumpy scales, and this irregular surface makes it almost impossible for bacteria to grasp onto and grow. So this concept was applied to the marine growth problems they were having with Navy ships. So as you know, ships spend the majority of their time in the harbor where marine growth builds up, and when barnacles and algae attach themselves to these ships, it reduces speed, it consumes more fuel, and causes more pollution. So the US Navy was spending up to $1 billion each year just to clean these ships. And the anti-fouling paints that they were using were not only expensive, but they were killing off sea life in the water, and bizarrely enough, giving sex changes to other various creatures. So, yeah, exactly. So they developed this new concept based on shark skin for a new barnacle preventative coating, which in fact makes ships go faster, uses less fuel while preserving wildlife in the water. And because this works so well with reducing drag in the water, it inspired Speedo's fast-skin bodysuits for the 2009 Summer Olympics. It also inspired a company called Sharklet to alleviate the #1 cause of deaths in hospitals. Did you know that 100,000 Americans die each year just from infections they get while being in hospitals? So this company is testing a plastic wrap that if you look at it under a microscope, you can see it basically replicates shark skin. And they're putting this plastic wrap on the surfaces that get touched the most, and thus far seems to be working on fending off infectious germs, and less people are dying, which is always a great thing. Okay, so my next example. What is a way nature uses adhesive? With gecko feet. So gecko's feet can stick to any surface. It can stick to glass, concrete, sand, wood, leaves, on liquid, and in a vacuum. And you can suspend 280 pounds from a fully engaged gecko. Now, how is this possible? Well, geckos have hairy feet, But unlike our hair, their hair is very small, and at the tips of each hair are 2 billion nano-sized split ends. And these split ends don't stick by glue, suction, or Velcro, but rather these van der Waals forces, which are these intermolecular forces, which is a whole new way of thinking about an adhesive. So when I first learned about this, I figured that someone should use this technology to make a Band-Aid so when you rip it off your skin, it won't rip the hairs off. But other companies, like the Stanford Group, have already used this technology, and they're developing this robot called the Sticky Bot. And because it doesn't use glue, it won't leave a gooey trail. Because it doesn't use suction, it doesn't need air to pump, so it can work in a vacuum. Since it doesn't have claws, it doesn't need anything concrete to grab onto. And lastly, it doesn't use magnets, so it doesn't need anything metal to stick onto. So it's being used, or being tested rather, to become a search and rescue robot after natural disasters to find individuals who have been trapped at a quick speed. And again, because it can be used in a vacuum, it's being sought out for future navigation of Mars. So further, when it comes to disassembling products and appliances for recycling, companies are looking into using a gecko-like tape, which will make it easy to take them apart and recycle them, or recycle each part respectively, unlike regular glue, which actually contaminates the product. And this is huge. This basically can solve a huge problem and move the entire industrial system closer to ecological sustainability. So my last example, what is the way nature deals with pressure? With birds. So in 1964, the Japanese bullet train, called the bull train because of its rounded front, ran up to speeds at 120 miles per hour. And because this was so fast, when it exited a tunnel, there was so much pressure that built up that it created this sonic boom. So scientists were looking to alleviate this problem, so they looked to the kingfisher diver bird, who went from one medium to another, went from air to water, without making a splash. So scientists took note of their knife-shaped bill, which cut through air seamlessly, and applied this design to the front of the new Japanese bullet trains, which now run 10% faster and 15% more fuel efficient. So another bird researchers are looking to make travel more seamless is the owl. And because, as you see, their wings are serrated like a comb, and their back feathers are kind of fringed like a scarf, and the feathers around their legs are like down like feathers, together allow air to pass through and absorb sound. And since major airports have restrictions on how much noise they can generate per day, the makeup of the owl is actually inspiring airplane design, which eventually will use less pressure, use less drag, and overall just decrease all the noise. So the last idea that I want to leave you with today is the idea of going from learning about the natural world to learning from the natural world. Because that is what biomimicry is all about. It's all just about finding things that work. And right now, we have designers from across the globe sharing best practices with other fellow designers. And biomimicry is similar, except that it looks at the 30 million species that have essentially had a 3.8 billion year research and development period on just finding the best practice on how to live on this planet without destroying it. And we're in the same situation. The context is the same. So let's look at these little geniuses that surround us, because when you realize that the natural world is embodied wisdom of living well, you will begin to see nature in a whole new light. Thanks.